Hey, so this video is going to be about how many Anki cards I used for the MCAT, what materials I used to put in those Anki cards, and just Anki in general for the MCAT. So if you want to learn about that for the MCAT, definitely stay tuned. Alright, so there's a million videos on Anki itself and how to use Anki and how to make Anki cards. I'm not going to go into the details of that. These are just my Anki statistics. It's based off of spaced repetition, which means you're spacing intervals of studying out, and it's done on a study, so it's the most efficient way to study and active recall information. I can't wait to use it in med school. I've got some of my friends into it, and I'm really big on Anki. I have another video regarding the entire list of materials that I use for the MCAT, but this is just going to regard all the materials that I used to make the Anki cards. So first thing I used was the Kaplan books. I used all of them other than the CARS book and the Psych-Soc book. For the Psych-Soc section, I used a 300-page document. I'll link that below in the description. It has every single term that you need and describes them very well. So I used all the Kaplan books, this 300-page document, and that was for my content review. Then I moved on to taking NextStep full lengths. I took 3 of those and used those questions that I missed from that and put those into Anki cards as well. So that's the next 3 full lengths of material that I used for that. Then I have another video regarding UWorld, 1900 questions, really hard, really helpful though. Definitely do it. I'll link that UWorld video down in the description as well. But I used 1900 questions from UWorld and made Anki cards out of anything that I missed there. And then I moved on finally 1 month before my actual test, I moved on to the AAMC materials. So I first did the question packs. I made any question that I missed on that into an Anki card. I did the section bank, which are a little bit harder. Those questions, if they were really detailed, I didn't put them all into it. But I made a lot of Anki cards from the question bank as well. And then the 3 AAMC full lengths and the sample AAMC test, MCAT, I used all of those and made any question that I missed on those into an Anki card. As well, in addition to all these corrections that I made into Anki cards, I made initial Anki cards when reviewing the Kaplan books. So if there's something that I didn't intuitively understand already, I made that into an Anki card and put it into my deck. And that was reviewed this entire length of time that I was studying. So I studied for about 6 to 8 months. So I got through these decks a good 2 or 3 times. With all these cards in them. So now I'm going to talk about how many different cards, and for each section, the number of hours I studied these cards, and the total number of reviews that I went through with each of these cards. So how many cards did I have in each of these decks? For some decks, I made a lot more cards. That's for the Psych-Soc. It's a lot more definition-based. It's a lot more theory-based. You need to know those concepts and theories. So for the Psych-Soc section, I had 2,019 different cards. And then moving on to the Chem and Physics section, I was not very strong in that section in general, so I made more cards initially reviewing that. So I had 890 cards in the Chem Phys section. And then for Biochem, it was a little bit more, I would say, definition based than Chem Phys, but also that was my strongest section coming in. I ended up with 1,342 cards. That seems like a lot to me in retrospect now, but yeah, so that's my 3 sections, how many cards dispersed between each. And I also had review decks that were a little bit less cards in each of those. So say for Chem Phys, I had 890 cards in my regular deck, but I also had 600 cards in my review deck. And my review deck was questions that I had missed from full lengths, questions that I had missed from UWorld, stuff like that. So these were exact copy-pasted questions that I would put into these cards. And I had a review deck for each different section. So I'm going to go over my totals here now. So in total, I had 5,601 cards for the MCAT. I spent a total of 213 hours on that. Reviewing those, I would usually do an hour and a half to 2 hours a day reviewing these cards. And then the total number of reviews, I had 59,426 reviews in total for all these cards. 5,600 cards, 213 hours, and 59,000 reviews. That's a lot. Also, Anki gives you some other cool statistics. Like the first time I saw cards, I got them right 65% of the time. And then I increased a good 8.2% the next time I saw the cards at 73.2% the second time that I saw the cards. So if you go into your deck statistics and look at all your stats, you can see these little differences. So really only an 8.3% increase when I saw a card again. I mean, that is useful, but still that's not that great of an increase. Only 73% if I've seen it twice. So it's just a cool stat to know. Another thing I read, you can see what times you answered the most questions and your percentages at different times of the day. So my most accurate times were 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. in the mornings. And then my least accurate times were 6 to 9 p.m. And this was interesting to me because I would always consider myself not an early morning person or a morning person in general. I like to wake up late and I like to study later in the day. But record shows that here I answer questions on an average of 3 to 4% better at times of 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. And compared to my average, I answer questions a little bit less good at 6 to 9 p.m. when I like to study normally. So, that can help me studying in the future, and there's a takeaway that I can get from that. So I guess that's pretty cool. If you enjoyed this video, leave me a like and subscribe. I'll leave my Instagram down below. Go follow me on there. Also, I'll leave links to UWorld. I'll leave links to NextStep. I'll leave links to the AAMC material, and you can find the Kaplan books online. Any of these materials that I use to make these cards, I will leave down below. So, hope you like this video and enjoy.